Delighted to finally have my bike back. It was time to say goodbye, get on the ferry and head to Akusi. The theory being that the most remote border crossing from Timor-Leste to West Timor would be the one most likely to let me through without the COVID vaccine. The ferry got in at a mighty early 5 a.m. and I waited around for at least sunrise, hoping that there might be petrol stations open by then, needing to refuel before I headed west to Asilo, the remote border post into Indonesia. The delay just gave me a chance to enjoy a spectacular sunrise and beautiful scenery, so that was no problem at all. But with no petrol station open by 8, I decided I couldn't keep waiting. I would take my chances and headed west. The roads were pretty rough and about an hour out I needed to cross a river. Not experienced with this type of riding, so I was pretty delighted not to land in the drink. Pulled up on the other side to check directions and just get my bearings. And this group of people asked where I was headed. With the help of phone a friend translation, I discovered that in fact there were 2 towns in Akusi called Asilo, and of course heading west I had gone to the wrong one. The border post I was looking for was in the south. There was nothing for it but to turn round, cross that river a second time, and take the hour journey back to the port. Here's a nice discovery. I'm not the only one who struggles in these conditions. And this guy doesn't have a 300 kilo bike. Back at the port, the petrol stations were of course then open, so I was able to refuel and headed south towards the other Asilo. This was a 90-minute trip through equally rough territory up into the mountains. I was delighted to then eventually see a sign saying I had arrived, but less delighted to realise then that where I had arrived the border post was very closed and had been for months while they rebuilt a new post. So 90 minutes back down the hill again up to the port, out to the main border post at Winnie. My concerns about the vaccine were certainly justified, but they did let me through in the end, and I came out on the other side into Indonesia. Stayed a couple of nights at the border town there, and then headed south through Sohe on the way to Kupang. It was all going pretty well, and I was just delighted to be on my way on my bike into Indonesia. And then it happened. I've had a single day one of riding through Indonesia. I was riding along and someone in the left-hand lane cut across and ran into me. Some damage to his bike. I've got some damage to my bike panniers. I think the bike's okay. And now I'm sitting in the rain trying to work out how to get all my gear back in. It's not a happy moment. It was all a bit of a mess, but on the upside, this group of med students took me into their house for the night. And when I finally got to Kupang, found a local workshop who were able to beat my panniers back into something resembling the right shape. And then I was on my way. to East Nusa Tenggara on the ferry.